Everything that comes to you is because your brain is set in a specific way. If you changed any variable, everything that comes to you would change in some way. So, what if you learned how to set your brain in the way you want and you would do it in the right way so you get the things you always wanted? Well, that's exactly how you get everything you want. There is no other way. And to prove that, I got an example. I call this example dream, try, adjust, repeat until you get it, but when you get it, you are not excited. That means, suppose there is a guy who is dreaming about making money. This guy is just laying on his sofa at home and dreaming that maybe in a couple of months, maybe in a year or two, he could be making millions of dollars. So he imagined himself like getting this money and being extremely happy. He goes, he buys a car, he buys food, clothes, he's super happy. So he says, all right, so he's dreaming. Now he says, okay, so if I want this, I gotta try, right? So the guy tries, but he fails. When he fails, he adjusts what? His brain. What I told you earlier, your brain is set in a specific way, and that's what brings you everything you get every day. So he adjusts his brain. We will see this in detail later, but he adjusts his brain. Let's say that for now. So he repeats the process. He dreams again, he tries again, he adjusts, and he does this exact cycle again and again and again until he becomes the kind of person that gets the thing he wants, until he sets his brain in the right way so he makes the money he has always dreamed about. That day, or that period of time, because it takes time, when you become that kind of person, he gets the money after a couple of months working on a business or something. He gets the money, but he's not that excited. I mean, he's happy, but he's not that excited. That's because usually the kind of person that gets a specific result is not extremely happy and excited and crazy about getting that thing. And you can see it that like in your daily life. Like you can see how people that are rich are not extremely happy when they make money. How people that, if you train in the gym and you do it in the proper way and you know how to train, you're not extremely happy every time you hit the gym and you do a good training, right? My goal in this video is to teach you how to set your brain in the right way so you get the things that you have always wanted. Then, if you learned that skill, you could set your brain in the way you want so you get the things you want, right? Yeah, I mean, it works like that. The problem is that people spend years in this loop. This takes years, right? It takes a lot of time because they don't do it consciously. They do it unconsciously. They try and their brains do small adjustments all over the years until they become that kind of person. And this, getting it, can take maybe a couple of months, 6 months to 12. Maybe a little bit more, but usually getting decent, good results takes no more than 6 to 12 months. But using science, I want to teach you how your brain works deep down so you understand the mechanisms that are unconscious so you can turn them unconscious. Set your brain in the right way and then everything will come to you. You have a brain. Right? You have a brain. And this brain lives in a human body that has finite amounts of energy. So you have to spend that energy in the smartest way possible. That's why the brain automates processes. Because the brain wants to optimize energy consumption. If you automate processes, you are basically spending less amounts of energy for every thing you want to execute. But how do you automate processes? Well, today we will analyze one system that works in the background of our brains. That means it's unconscious. And this system is responsible for designing our actions. Every action you execute is designed by this system. And this system basically what it does is maps situations with actions. So every familiar situation that you face, you already got one action associated with that situation. So every time you face that situation, you recognize that situation, you take this action, you make small adjustments so it fits the specific situation and you execute it. So if you want to wash your hands, you don't think what soap is, what water is, where is the sink, how to open the sink. You already know. You just adjust like the position of your hands because you don't know where the sink is and like little adjustments. But you already know how to do it and you don't even think about it. And the example of washing your hands is small. But if you want to socialize or if you want to execute and build a business and focus for a couple of hours, or if you want to trade or paint because you are an artist or whatever, then you already have automated actions associated with those familiar situations. So that's what matters, not washing your hands. That's what matters, like working, training, painting, focusing for hours. So how does your brain automate processes? It's pretty simple. Your brain does something that science also does, and that is creates models of reality. Because models allow us to solve complex problems spending low amounts of energy. And these models of reality can be divided into two big groups. One is your identity, and the other one is your environment. And these models of reality are made of memories and beliefs. Now, what does all of this means? All of these mean that basically your brain creates a model of reality. That is a simplification of what your brain thinks reality is like. So there is no one reality. There are models of reality in each brain. Because if you want to contemplate reality with all its variables, which are dynamic, they change, and you have to contemplate all those variables changing in one single instant, the brain has no cognitive skill to do that. So you have to create a model to simplify it so you can think about reality. When you can think about reality, you can design actions and get feedback and take conclusions and learn and grow and survive and accomplish the biological missions which are survival and reproduction. So how do you simplify reality and create a model? That's simple. Everything you observe and you do, you store it as a memory. Because the world gives you feedback. So if you act in a certain way and you experience something, like you talk to somebody, you go and buy something, you work for a couple of hours and you get a specific output, you go and train, you eat pasta one day, you eat meat another day, you eat, vegetables another day, you start measuring what food makes you feel more healthy. So you store those as memories. And then you create beliefs. If you feel healthier eating meat and vegetables than pasta, you will store the belief that meat and vegetables is healthier than pasta. So you will repeat the action of eating meat and vegetables, right? That works the same way in everything. If you work for a couple of hours, if you scroll on IG, that is dangerous, because when you scroll on IG, you're not being successful on the action. But actually, you are being successful in the action because you are spending extremely low amounts of energy, because scrolling requires basically just moving your hand and being laid on the bed. And it stimulates your brain. So you release extremely high amounts of dopamine, and that hacks your brain, and your brain thinks that's extremely useful and the right thing to do. But consciously, it's not the right thing to do, because it is not. And all the info you store in your brain about reality, which is small compared to the size of what reality actually is, because it's huge, it's infinite, you store those memories and beliefs, and then you divided those into two groups. One is your identity, the other one is your environment. Your identity is who you think you are. This is like your personality. And your personality, it's not like who you are. It's more like a set of data and information that is your memories and beliefs that tells you how you have to behave. It's that simple. Like, it's just a set of raw data and info that tells you how you have to behave. It's that simple, because if you had to create a new identity every day, you would spend enormous amounts of energy every day. If you store how you behave a couple of times and then just repeat it all over and over again, then you will be spending low amounts of energy, but now you are set and stuck in one personality. So if you want to change who you are, it's simple. You just have to change the root cause, the memories and beliefs that you have about yourself, so you change how you behave. So if you are shy, you have to change this. If you are undisciplined, you have to change this. Because if you believe you're undisciplined, you will act like an undisciplined person, because that's your personality, and that's the info and data you use to design your actions. Now, the brain uses these models of reality to make predictions of what's going to happen. And basing on those predictions, you design your actions. And your actions bring you your outcomes. Remember, be, do, have. When you want to have something you don't focus on doing, you focus on being. When you focus on being, you will do the right way. It's that simple. And here is the explanation why. If you are the right person, you will make the right predictions, and your actions will fit the situation in a way that makes you successful, like regarding your goals. So you have memories and beliefs of what reality is like according to you, right? So this info is just a simplification of reality. Remember, this is not reality. If you think you're shy, if you think people are good, if you think people are bad, if you think money is scarce, if you think like painting and beating the competition is difficult, that's not true or false. That's just your model of reality. It's just a simplification. If you believe money is scarce, you will act like money is scarce. If you believe money is abundant, you will act like money is abundant. It's that simple. It doesn't matter if money is abundant or scarce, because that's relative. But it matters what you believe about reality. Because if you think money is scarce, your brain will never look for opportunities to make money. And overall, like when you find one opportunity, you will not direct the energy it requires. Because your brain will be like, why would we spend energy that is so precious to us in a project that will fail because money is scarce and difficult to make? But if you think money is abundant, your brain will be constantly scanning the environment, looking for opportunities to make money. And when you find one, you will direct all the energy it requires, and you will be every day hitting the box and hitting the box and hitting the box until you make it. Because you have the memory and belief that money is abundant. Like your memories and beliefs tell you that money is abundant. So these conditions your behavior. It doesn't matter what's actually true in reality. Because remember, we don't understand reality. Like we cannot tell what's real or fake, because reality is such a complex, it's such a complex entity that we cannot even describe. So reality, what matters here is the model of reality. So you want to set the right model of reality. When I said that you want to set your brain in the right way, so all you want comes to you, that means designing the right model of reality. So if you want to make a lot of money, or you want to be the best artist in the world, or you want to be like I don't know, like you want to train in the gym and get a super good trained body, you are an accountant and you want to build a small company of accountability, or like whatever you want, I guess you have to be disciplined to make it. You have to feel worthy, you have to feel confident, you have to feel like someone smart, and you have to be smart. But if you think you're not smart, you will never actually trust yourself, and you will act in a not smart way. If you want to sell like your art or your services or whatever, or you want to train in a gym, you have to feel like a confident person or a good salesperson, or whatever. Like, you have to feel that you are that, because if you feel that you're not that, you will never be that, because you are acting in a way that is predicting failure. Because if you say, I am not smart, you will predict that you will fail. And basing on this prediction, you will design your actions. And now, stay with me here. Have you ever heard about visualization? That visualization can make you accomplish all your goals? Well, that's true. But be careful, because there are two kinds of visualization. One is the conscious visualization, and the other one is an unconscious visualization. This prediction is an unconscious visualization. If you design your actions basing on this unconscious prediction, and this unconscious prediction doesn't match the one that you do consciously, you will use this one to design your actions. So you have to be aware that this prediction matches the ones you want. You can visualize for hours, but if deep down you still believe that you are not smart, you believe that you are undisciplined or negative things, you will act that way. It doesn't matter how long you visualize. And how do we change this? It's simple. You just have to be aware. It's not easy, but the process is simple. You just have to be aware. You have to be aware of every thought that pops up in your mind. And I will give you the key to control your mind in the way you want. I will give you the key to be aware of this system and actually change your brain and set it in the right way to accomplish your goals. And it's just one thing. You need to be aware that thoughts are not real or fake. Thoughts just are. Every thought that pops up in your mind and tells you that you will not make it, that you are shy, that that in the past you failed many times, so you should keep failing, it's just a thought. Ignore that thought. You don't need a justification. You don't need to get evidence to say, okay, I will not pay attention to this thought. You just don't do it. Don't do it. You don't need evidence. If you want to feel that you are going to be rich and you will make a ton of money, stop ignoring the thoughts that tell you that you are not going to do it, that you are not that kind of person, and that in the past you failed many times. Just ignore those thoughts. Why? Does it feel unnatural? Yes, it does in the beginning. But who cares? Because what creates reality is not your actions or your outcomes. It's the model of reality you have in your brain. So if you change this model that you have in your brain, you will change your actions, and your actions will change your outcomes. It's the law of cause and effect. If you don't become the cause of the effects you want, you will never have the effects you want. You can't be expecting to get the effects you want and then become the cause. You can't expect to make a lot of money, dressed in a different way, buy a new car, and travel around the world, and that day you change your personality. That's nonsense. That's absolutely nonsense, because you are waiting for the effect to come before the cause. If you need money to be happy, if you need money to be confident, if you need money to feel smart, then you are being the cause of a not smart person, an unconfident person, an undisciplined person, and etc. Because you believe that you need money to be those things. But you don't need money to be happy. You don't need money to be disciplined. You don't need money to be smart. You don't need evidence to prove to yourself or anybody else that you are that kind of person. You just need to be that kind of person. The evidence. You are the evidence of the things you want. It's not the other way around. The evidence that you want to be able to look around, like the money, or if you're an artist, your paintings or your body or whatever, are just effects that come from you. So you have to change so your effects change. Because if you don't have the effects you want now, that means that currently you are not the cause, or you are not the cause. I hope after this video you change yourself, you start being aware, and you change especially your identity. So you just have to be aware and understand that every thought that pops up in your mind, most of them are trash, and you just have to stay with the ones you actually want. One thought that shows you being successful and tells you that you are the kind of person that achieves that goal that you want, that thought, you have to feed that thought so it grows, it grows, it grows. And you have to embody the person, the ideal version of yourself that you visualize. Now, not when you get the evidence. You become the evidence, and all the other things come after. But first you have to embody that person. You don't need evidence, you don't need anything. And I like to say that you should embody the ideal version of yourself. That is your ideal identity, like a suit or like a t-shirt. Like, you just put a suit, like, don't put a suit like physically, but what I mean is, like, feel that embodying your identity is like literally like being that person for a while, like just acting in a different way, being that identity for a while. So then you go to sleep and it doesn't matter. But when you go to sleep, like, it probably will become automatic. Like, this identity will become automatic someday, and then you will not even have to think about this, because the automatic system will run in the background, but it will be set in the right way. So just embody your ideal version of yourself. Like, without evidence. Like, who cares? Like, don't even think about it. Just embody it. So I hope it helped. I really hope it helped. Thanks for watching. Bye.